Hi, welcome to my YouTube channel. This is the Burnout Girl, and as you can see by the title of this video, I'm gonna try to give you some advice according to my personal experience on how you can get a scholarship to study in Europe. I'm starting this channel because I've came along through my experience here in Europe and like my educational experience that people usually have a lot of questions about how a Colombian girl like me made it into Europe through scholarships. So that's why I am doing this video, and you can probably tell by the title of the video that I want to tell you, according to my experience, how you can get a scholarship to study in Europe. So I know that's a dream of a lot of people, and I just want to help and create kind of the platform for us to communicate. And obviously I don't have the ultimate truth about this. This is just my personal experience, what I've learned so far, what I know now that I didn't know back then, what I advise you to do. But I also want to just create a discussion and a conversation around it so we all can have like benefits out of this. So the first thing that I advise you to do is define what education level do you want. In my case, it was bachelor's and master's, but I know that there are great possibilities if you start by high school. Why? Because then you integrate more with the culture, and then you also add on your language skills that are going to be really, really good also for the future and for your applications. For high schools, I don't really have an experience, but I know there's a lot of intercultural exchanges, and definitely just check out with your local school and with your local government. There's usually a education institution that manage that budget and they manage that opportunities. In my case, in Colombia, if someone from Colombia is seeing this, when I was already looking for scholarships in bachelor's, I came across going to our public institutions for education quite a lot, because in their website they were advertised all the scholarships that other governments would offer for Colombian students, and they will be the ones that manage the process of selection. If you're Colombian, you just can go to the ICETEX. They have a website and they have like available scholarships, becas disponibles. In there you can see what type of education level is the scholarship and what are the requirements, the timing, and everything. I highly recommend it. I think a lot of people have this kind of bias for the public education institutions that manage the budget, because it usually means that you have to get a loan to go to university, but that's not always the case. But they also are going to be the ones managing the public scholarships that other countries offer, and they want to do it through the government. So just be a little bit more open, and I can't stress this enough. Research. Luckily we have Google nowadays, so you can just Google your way into a scholarship. Okay, so once you have determined your education level, you have to determine the program that you're going in. Why? Because some scholarships are not for specific programs. Some scholarships only have partnerships with certain universities. Some universities offer scholarships, where other ones only offer the government scholarships. So you have to really choose which programs or what programs do you want to apply. My advice is that you apply to more than one. I know you have to be and remain really positive, but it doesn't really hurt to apply to multiples and then get accepted to all of them, and then you can choose. But what is probably going to happen, because these scholarships are also wanted by a lot of people, is that you will only get chosen in a few of them. So yeah, your selection will be a little bit reduced, but then you will have a safer spot in one of these programs. So once you selected your program, you want to have to start the timing. It might be that you like it now and they already have the selection run, so you already not there because of the timing that you start looking, but it doesn't matter. You can just do it on the next year or the next semester. You have to be really, really careful with that, and I will advise you to be really organized with this. Maybe just put a log on Excel or in any app that you might use, or in your little notepad or in your agenda. I advise you to do that because some universities only receive every 2 years, or only in the winter semester, or only in the summer semester. So I will really picky and really specific with this, so you can know what is the timing, because to get a scholarship you will have to do a lot of other things. About the timing. In the timing, you only don't have to take into account the application timing, but also the preparation timing. In the preparation timing, you have to do a lot of stuff like language certifications. You have to take tests, and some tests, most of the tests that you need to take to certify the level of your language are also only available in certain dates. So you have to register, you have to prepare for the test, and then you have to wait a certain amount of time to get the results. So I will allow yourself enough time for that preparation, because you have to know what type of test you want to do. You also have to take into account the other requirements that the scholarship wants, and the credentials that they want you to show. Some of them, it hasn't been my case, but I know of cases like the DAAD, the scholarship from the German government. They want people that are really involved with the community. They have volunteer, that they have this volunteer service certified. And I know that for a lot of Latin American people, and maybe also for Americans, it's common to advocate and to join a cause and to do volunteer programs without getting any certification or any backup that you did it. My advice, because that also happened to me, I was always really involved with my community. I was also always helping with homeless program, with child's programs and stuff like that. But I never really got a certificate because it wasn't on my interest. I was just doing it because I wanted to help. But I know a lot of scholarship want you to be involved in the community, want you to have some volunteer credentials. So then if you don't have that, because I know it might be the case that you really don't know how to do it, start getting involved and then work to get your credentials on that. So that will also request a little bit of time. The first experience that I got with a European scholarship, they required me to show leadership and involvement in the academic community. And by that time, I was luckily also participating from research study groups in my university, and was also kind of like a tutor in my, I don't know how you say that, but yeah, you're a tutor. You kind of help other students out with some assignments or some explanation. I was a tutor for this specific area of law, and that helped a lot to stand out from other candidates. So I will also advise you, if you don't have an involvement, or if you don't advocate for a specific cause, or if you are not in a research group, to do it not only for the scholarship, but because it will give you a lot of learnings, it will give you a lot of experience, you will meet a lot of people that might be super relevant for you in your future. But not only because of that, it's also really a cool stuff to do in the university. So I highly encourage to do that. In the timing, you will also want to establish relationships with your professors. In Latin America, I went to law school, and law school, it's a little bit more solemn and more kind of formal than other studies. But I know in Latin America, we usually have a really warm relationship or close relationship. So for me, it wasn't that complicated. I was already a good student, and the professors were happy to help. Some of them are a little bit, will take a little bit more of time with your recommendation letters or with your credentials, or will require you to perform certain specific tasks. It's not the general trend, but I will advise you also to put in your timing about a month where you kind of collect a lot of recommendation letters from your professors, because you will have to wait kind of or rank kind of how important that recommendation might be. say for instance you have a recommendation for your dean. That was one of my case. I got a recommendation from my dean, so for me it was kind of like the top recommendation. And then my professor, there was also a PhD, and then she helped me a lot through my bachelor's. I did both a practice experience and also kind of like a bachelor thesis. It's not so much of a thesis, it's called a monography, but I did it with her. I liked it a lot, but I knew that because of the dean status and also like his importance in the law community and the judicial community, because he was part of one of the highest court in Colombia, it was better to include this one and instead of the other ones, or better to include this and this instead of the other ones. So will have to time and rank the recommendations that you obtain. And of course, because professors are usually really important and busy people, they're most likely not going to get back to you immediately. So you have to time that, because say you only have one recommendation letter and you need two, then you're gonna be tight in your deadline. So that's another tip. You have to time well when you ask for your recommendations and who you ask for those recommendations. And the more, the better, it won't hurt you. I will also advise you to get recommendation letters from the people that you volunteer with, or from the people that you have worked with, because having worked while you're still undergraduate, or while you're still doing your bachelor's, or while you're still in high school, shows a lot for those kind of scholarships, and I think reinforces the story that you're telling and why you want to improve yourself by means of this studies or this scholarship. So that's another thing that I also did for my applications, and I think it kind of pays off. So after you select your program, you kind of want to look what scholarship is compatible to that program. So in this point, I kind of have two big taxonomies for the scholarships. You either have scholarships that are for your tuition, so it's only for the fees that you're gonna pay for the education, or you have scholarships that are gonna pay for your life expenses, or they're just gonna give you the cash, or directly transfer the money to your account, and then you kind of choose what to do with that money. Or there are other types of scholarships that are the best ones, that you can get both support for your tuition fee, so they will pay your tuition fee, and they will pay extra money for your life expenses. Those are the best scholarships, of course. For Latin American students especially, the best scholarship that, in my opinion, that you can get that is European broad is Erasmus. Erasmus is a program that is supported by the European Commission, and it's actually not for education because they don't have the competence for it, but it's for mobility. And I think it kind of reinforced a lot their integration goal, because you come here to Europe and you see that the youth is really open-minded and really willing to accept other cultures, other European cultures. Most of them talk several languages, more than one, and usually their mother tongue and then English and then another language, because most of them have done Erasmus, and you're gonna learn that Erasmus is really a happy time of your life. So the Erasmus program for Latin American people is the Erasmus Action 2, and then you have to be specifically about the program, because there are certain programs that are included and then a lot of them that are not. So in this case, I will advise you to first look for Erasmus, see what program fits your profile better or your interest better, and then apply for those ones that have Erasmus. And most of them are for masters only. Erasmus is not to do a bachelor's or a semester abroad, it's usually for masters. And for the American people, I know of a scholarship that is called the Fullbright scholarship, and I've met a lot of people that have had that scholarship and have been studying here in Germany. And I know it pays for both tuition and living expenses. So you want to check out that one, and I think it's not limited to certain programs, so you can just access to it once you have been accepted to the university or the program that you want. Then you have scholarships that are offered directly by the university, and in these cases, the scholarships that are offered by the university are usually only covering the tuition fee. And they really do kind of want really top students, or at least that is my experience. The other type of institutions that give scholarships and that a lot of people don't pay attention to, because I think it's not the most obvious option, is foundations. A lot of foundations, and I know a lot of Latin American people will know this name. For instance, La Fundación Carolina in Spain, they give a lot of scholarships, or Fullbright is also a foundation. A lot of the funding that they get is to retribute and to re-give to the society, and they do it in form of education. So not only foundation, but also religion institutions, and that type of kind of NGOs, they also offer scholarships. So if you, for instance, have a strong belief and you have contributed to your church or with your specific religion, it might be good to look up if they offer possibilities of funding studies, because I've known people that have gotten a scholarship thanks to their affiliation with the church. That's especially one of the cases here in Germany. Here in Germany, the Evangelische Kirche, which is the Protestant church, they redistribute a lot, I think, to the community. This is what I've seen. I don't see much, but I've seen some cases that they repay for the community, and they do it in a way of scholarship for a lot of people, a lot of refugees, a lot of people that also get involved with the church. So if you are affiliated with some church or with some religion, I will advise you to look up for those institutions. Okay, so there's a lot of foundations that I found that they offer scholarships, and they offer them not only for Europeans, not only for Germans, or for European citizens, but also for Latin American citizens, also African, a lot of people coming from the MENA region and Middle East. So that's a really good option. And also other institutions that you might be not aware of, but they also offer scholarships or also payable loans, like loans that you can also kind of strike and finance according to the grades that you obtain or the services that you provide them, because then you can make some internship with them, are banks. That was also my experience with my first scholarship that I earned. I went to Europe, and it was thanks to a bank. So there are banks that also encourage the youth to get better and to do their masters, or to do mobility, or to do intercultural exchanges. So you also want to take a look of those banks. I'm gonna link the title and those scholarships, because that scholarship is for all Latin America. It was like for Iberoamerica, so a lot of people can benefit from that. And here in Germany, I've also seen that, for instance, the KfW, that is also for development, they offer that type of scholarships where you can then repay by internship with work, but they will also give you some sort of covering for your life expenses. And that's also the case of institutes like Max Planck, and they have a lot of areas where you can look up and kind of accommodate to your profile. So I will also recommend to not only look for the government or the university, but be more broad. Include also consultancy firms. I know, for instance, that in the UK, there is a case that you can do some sort of a traineeship contract, and they will pay for your masters, or they will pay for your education, because they see that you have the future for it, and you can even access to it from your bachelor's. And that's the case, I think, for a lot of people from the States that ask me about the possibilities that they have, whether to study, for instance, to go to law school, or to take the bar exam and stuff like that. Some firms will also pay for you to go to law school if you demonstrate that you have the passion and the commitment to do it. You have to not only look up well your program, and then look up the opportunities that are compatible with that program, or the scholarships that are compatible with the program, but also look up the requirements. So I advise you to be really prepared. If you for say want to do a master's in 2 years with a scholarship, I will advise you to start looking now, precise in this moment. Just like the video, subscribe, and then go and do your research. I'm gonna answer the comments as I see them, and try to encourage more and fuel this discussion. So, I mean, more Mormon people can start making their dreams come true. And then I just wanted to say that if I did it, I think anyone can do it. And I hope you liked this video. If you like, please let me know in the comments down below. Looking for this YouTuber. But yeah, I'm really excited for this new thing that I'm doing. And stay tuned for more videos kind of like this, and hopefully better. Bye.